with 4.1 only being about half a day away. Today I'm here with the should you or should you not summon for the rerun character Hyacine. In this video I'm going to be talking about how Hyacine has kind of held up from her release till now, highlighting reasons to be worth it or not, and then reasons why you should or should not summon. Stuck grinding in Honkai Star Rail? Need Stellar Jades fast? We've got you covered. Head over to U7 Buy, your ultimate gaming hub for save fast and cheap in-game top-ups. Whether it's Star Rail or your other favorite games, U7 delivers instantly and players love it. Check out their Trustpilot reviews, they're actually top ranked. On the Honkai Star Rail direct top-up page, you can recharge your account in seconds. For example, 8080 Ononeric shards cost $99.99 in the official store, but on U7 Buy, you can see here it's way cheaper. Just pick your server, enter UID, pay securely, and boom, your account is instantly loaded. Want extra savings? Use code PRETSR at checkout for 5% off, perfect for last minute pulls, battle passes, or surprising a friend. And here's a bonus. If you spend $80 a month on U7 Buy, you can grab the Honkai Star Rail Express Pass for only 1 cent, which is nearly free. Click on the link in my description, recharge fast, save more, and keep blazing those trails. So Hyacine has been released as a sustain. She's been out for a while now, coming out in the first half of 3.3. Since then, she actually has been dominating the sustain meta. She kind of set a whole new bar for sustains, being this character that can heal actually pretty well, while also being able to do very solid damage. Although in my opinion, I think the amount of damage she did was kind of overhyped, depending on the team, because, you know, to make her do the damage that people did, you know, really praise, she did need AoE buffs on the team for it to actually matter. Like, she wasn't going to be doing like 500k plus off a team where she isn't really receiving buffs. So if it's like her, the DPS, and then 2 more single target buffers, maybe one of the buffers have some form of AoE buffs, but a lot of people just kind of made it seem like she was doing insane damage on just every team. That was not the case. But the fact that she had the potential to do really good damage was mainly the seller. She kind of was the reason to set a bar where sustains actually need to do a lot more than just sustaining, since she did have that damage attribute as opposed to any other sustain that existed outside of Lingsha doing crazy super break damage at the time. But when Hyacine released, super break was kind of dead. So with actually active AoE buffers, and especially with Tribi, E1 Tribi being so rampant in the game, a lot of times you actually would run them together for a quote-unquote wheelchair team. And since Tribi could actually buff a lot of Hyacine's damage very well, it gave the illusion that Hyacine did do insane damage. Well, not even illusion, because on that team, she would do a lot of damage. So Hyacine was this new character to bring a whole new meaning to sustain. She had her max HP buff, which, you know, really only mattered with the HP scalers, which she was best in slot with. Her and her Lycone would be best in slot for Blade, and then especially Castress, which we'll talk about in a second. So yeah, she had her max HP buff, mainly good for them, but for characters that are non-HP scaling, at least with the max HP increase, that would make it to where characters that don't have much HP built, since a lot of DPSs are built with attack, you're still increasing their HP to where if you just get hard toggled because RNG in this game sucks. Tell me how many times your 4-star Ting Yun or Cypher gets targeted. Trust me, I know. Those characters can actually live a lot more hits because 1, Hyacine has good healing and can heal on hit, and 2, her max HP increase is going to make them more tanky. But then also talking about her biggest role, which was with the anniversary character Castress. Hyacine was the character to set Castress above all other DPSs, especially if you did have her Lycone with that extra drain, but just for her AoE healing, she as a character just existing was so much new blood generation for Castress as opposed to any other healer in the game, and really opened the whole detonate playstyle to always be better than keeping the dragon up, because back then you could do either or, but Hyacine generated you so many dragons to the point that it was actually just throwing keeping it out. She just works so good on the team. She completely counteracts Castress's HP drain when she does use a skill, and then if you have E2 you drain even more HP because you get that action advance. So some other healers potentially could have a harder time keeping up with that, especially someone like Gallagher. So even with an E0 or an E2, especially Castress, Hyacine was able to offset that HP drain and also just be a super broken new blood generator. But again, outside of Castress, she's just a good general sustain. Like, she heals, she does the role properly, she makes anyone on the team more tanky with a max HP increase, and if you had good enough AoE buffs on the team, she could do damage. The only downside was the fact that she needed to constantly be using skill, otherwise you would have to rely on getting hit a bunch of times in order to keep full uptime on her ultimate. So some teams back then, especially with Dot always wanting to use skill and stuff, a bit different now since Dot can use basic attack for 2 out of the 3 characters. Since Black Swan now no longer needs to ever use skill, Hyacine really just needs to use it once, and then Kafka's only one spamming it. Even then, it just kind of could be hard to keep it up, since Hyacine always wanted to skill in order to make sure you had full uptime. And then the only other downside, which is just a remembrance downside, was the fact that there was not many Lycons. But outside of that, her role as a sustainer is just really good. She was able to do really good sustaining potential while also doing very solid damage depending on your team. If there's no AoE buffs, that was very negligible. You can just kind of look past it. But on her main team with like a Castrus team, which was mainly run with Castrus, who was able to lower all type res, and then Tribby, who had AoE buffs that were perfect for Hyacine. On a team like that, she was able to do a lot of good things, especially since the other software support back then, at least until Evernight, was someone just like Ruan Mei, which is another AoE buffer. That of course depended because you'd mainly use RMC in that slot, but yeah, you get what I mean. From then to now, she constantly has been getting better value just because of the Remembrance team getting stronger and stronger. We finally got Evernight to fill another slot in the team and really took that team to a real whole other level. And then to top it all off, they got Cyrene, which just works fantastic on that team. So now you have Evernight that buffs the team, you have Castrus with her res lower, you have Cyrene with her AoE true damage and also damage dealt, and then her exclusive buff to airs, which Hyacine is, and then Hyacine herself. So on that team, she contributes a lot of damage just because everyone is buffing each other simultaneously, while Hyacine is doing God's work, especially for Castrus and also somewhat for Evernight. She was also just the best in slot for her as a main DPS. By her, I mean Castrus forever and still is. Like really, you borderline can't really use Castrus without Hyacine nowadays. Evernight, I definitely think she has a lot more potential outside of Hyacine teams. A lot of people have it overblown that Evernight needs her, just like Castrus does. That is not true. I definitely think Evernight is way better with other sustains as opposed to Castrus would be. But still, Hyacine just has a good role because she still is best in slot there, especially for the HP increase. And then if you have the light cone, then you had the extra HP drain for more Memoria on Evernight. To top it all off, with Hyacine and Cyrene released specifically, a lot of comps actually had Hyacine to supercharge Cyrene. Since outside of RMC setups where you actually advance Cyrene to start, Hyacine would be the other character that fully charges Cyrene a lot faster as opposed to anyone else. Since Hyacine is built super fast with over 200 speed, has her act, and then also has the Memo Sprite attack. So that cycling with Cyrene was a great way to charge her. It was best in slot for my day teams. So just those kind of team comps definitely did get a buff just because Hyacine is able to charge Cyrene a lot. So her role really hasn't gone down, to be honest. It's just still a really good sustain that has good potential to do good damage depending on the team. Best in slot for two of the best DPSs in the game being Castrus and Evernight. Can work on really any team that isn't really like Break. That's like the only team that can't necessarily or doesn't necessarily want to use her. Like now, as I mentioned, with all the dot buffs and them being able to generate skill points a lot better. It still can be a bit difficult on there, but you can very much use Hyacine, especially since she acts a lot, so Hyacine can get her dot proc off a lot. Or by that I mean her talent gets proc because Hyacine is attacking a lot to apply the dots. For any HP drainer, she's best in slot. You can use her as a general sustainer on other teams as long as you're smart with skill points. She's just still really good. And now reasons why you should summon for Hyacine. I cannot stress this enough. If you use Castrus or you just want to use Castrus at all, if you want to do anything related to Castrus with usage, pull Hyacine. It's legit going to be the biggest night and day difference in the game, honestly. Castrus without Hyacine is actually the most disabled feel I think I ever have seen in this game. But with Hyacine, she goes from like, oh, what the hell is this unit? I can't get this thing to function properly, to like, oh my god, she is killing everything. Like, if you use Castrus at all, just pick up Hyacine. It's actually going to be insane. Not at the same extent, but I still would recommend Hyacine if you do also use main DPS Evernight. So maybe you have Evernight, but you don't have Castrus. Maybe you just wanted to use Evernight more as a main DPS because she is a really good main DPS. In that case, I also, again, would recommend picking up Hyacine. She's not necessarily super needed for a sustained slot for Evernight as opposed to Castrus. Evernight has regular energy. She doesn't have the whole new butt stuff, but Hyacine still has her max HP buff. Hyacine can contribute good damage thanks to Evernight herself, since Evernight does have buffs for Memo Sprites, and her HP increase is going to make Evernight do more damage in general since Evernight does scale off HP. So she still is in her best in slot teams and is good and recommended to pick up. So if you main either of the two, especially Castrus, Hyacine is definitely a character you want to pick up. Past that would just be if you need a general sustain. Like Hyacine is just a good pickup for a general sustain, I'm going to be honest. If you're someone that really only has Danen kind of carrying you because he was free for a while, I know he's not going to be free as the update goes out anymore, unfortunately. But anyone watching this, unless you're starting after 4.1, you probably have Danen for one side completely covered. If you're in need of another strong sustain, then of course, Hyacine is going to be one of, if not the best options to pick out of the two. So if you're also in need of a general sustain, or you're just, again, in need of that general sustain role, then pick her up. Reasons why you should not summon is, of course, one, if you're not a Castrus user, and you're not really an Evernight user either, then you don't necessarily have a need for their best in slot sustain. And if you already have your sustain coverage. While she is one of the two best sustains in the game, the other one being Danheng, there's still plenty of sustains that can do their job just fine. While some of them like Linkshot, 4.1 maybe struggle, they can still get the job done, especially if your team is overall strong. And Event Train specifically, honestly, that guy on the shield set and his sustaining potential, there's not really anything wrong with it. He sustains really good, especially with the new shield set. Well, not new anymore, but the shield set to this day, he does well. So if you just have that sustain role filled for your other team, bracket S, just in case you're doing anomaly as well, if you have the sustain covered, or maybe you just have 2 sustains and one of your teams is sustainless maybe, really just if you're not in need of that generous sustain part, then of course feel free to skip. So if you don't have Cassius or Evernight and you don't need another sustain, of course in that case I would just go ahead and skip. That is it for the should you or should you not summon for Hyacine. I do hope you found this video helpful. If you did, dropping a like would be greatly appreciated. If you're new to the channel or haven't done so already, be sure to subscribe and turn on the bell icon for future videos like this, along with all other types of star content, and I'll see you later. Peace out.